Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I want to do is I want to talk to my chosen ones about how they will always refuse your insight and information. They always refuse it. They are unwilling to learn a more righteous, a more direct, a more fruitful way of living. Got to stay away from people who are unwilling to learn. When you are learning, you are earning. You cannot spell one without the other. So, with that being said, it's hard in today's society to carry on engagements and conversations with beings when everything is always surface level. Everything is, how are you doing? How's your day going? How's work? How's everything outside of work? It's usually all the same generic information. And what kind of dove me into this subject today was, me and my mini, we was just kind of out on the balcony, just kind of vibing for a second. And it was some of the younger guys, looked like they might have been in high school, late middle school, but I'm pretty sure they was in high school. And they was just all kind of mobbed out in front of like one of the apartment buildings. And it reminded me of me when I was younger. And I couldn't help but process and think about how much time was wasted standing around and not learning. Because as we get older, we don't have groups of people that we're around in the same way we do when we in high school or around those ages. So understanding that, I was just looking out there at them and just seeing how much time they was wasting, how much, they wasn't really building or like being productive in any manner or putting their ideas together, just more so of we all in the same vibration, so we all just gonna stand right here and mob together, laugh, joke, go through our phones, blah, 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 etc. And from there, it kind of just teleported me into all the beings that I do be around and the ones that I bump into that's really hard to carry on a conversation of some substance, and when I get to these places with certain beings, I realize and I understand that until they find the method or until something extremely devastating happens to them, they are not going to process things differently. I had not trying to be shallow or anything, I just like to be realistic. But I know sometimes those two go hand in hand together. And I had this bigger person around me, and we had seen something on a video or something, and for some reason it made her blurt out, "I'm a bad bitch." And I just kept thinking to myself, it was so random, it threw me off. I was like, huh? She said, "Yeah, I'm a bad bitch. I'm bad." And I'm just thinking to myself, like, but you're not a bad bitch, if that's what you want to call it. When I hear those terminologies, I think of a witch. They trying to turn what's good bad and what's bad good. So when people say terms like that, they're flipping the connotation of the actual verbiage that's being used. It threw me for a loop, because there is no logic or reality in there. Like, I don't have anything wrong with people expressing things like that, but I've talked to this being several times. Like, they're not a bad person, they just have that weird witchy ideology, and it doesn't want them to move out of the space they in. So you around somebody who's fit and who works out, and these are the kind of things you blurt out. I've put ideas on the table for them different solutions, remedies, and I like to see how people utilize their free time when they're not in my space, or me pushing them or motivating them to do certain things. And for beings to be in my personal space and to have access to me and this information, and then also access to more information just off the fact that I'm always diving in, reflecting, learning, researching, doing these different, breaking down, reanalyzing, life, relationships, the spiritual war is already basically set. We already know what time it is with all of those things. So now I'm at a space to where now I want to get more detail. If you ever did, probably not, or if so, everybody cleans, but if you ever do a deep clean, or if you as a housekeeper, you ever done housekeeping work, you understand that you have to be extremely detailed when you're cleaning certain areas, because it's going to be other people, other residents that will be residing in that space for a little while, and it just gets kind of frustrating, because there's a lot of people who want and like your vibration, but they aren't willing to do certain things to sustain or to be able to maintain or be in your vibration for a long period of time. So for a lot of beings, they may want 3, 4, 5, 6 days out the week of your time, and really, because they aren't growing or learning and they're still staying at the same vibration, you can only offer them maybe a day out the week. Some people doing 1 day out of every 2 weeks. Some people may do a couple hours scattered out throughout the week. You know what I mean? You can get an hour on Monday. I can give you 30 minutes on a Thursday, maybe 2 hours on a Sunday, something like that. But you won't be able to sit in these spaces long, because like I always say, and as we can see, what life out here is itself, whichever force is stronger is going to take the brute force, it's going to take the momentum, it's going to take up most of the space in that area. So that's why when a lot of these beings get in that space and they realize, they can't warp you over with sex, they can't warp you over with how they talk, their language, they can't warp you over with certain gestures, it becomes very discombobulated for them, because they want to maintain your vibration, but they cannot, because they don't know what it takes to be able to put a leash on that kind of being. So like this, like you won't put the same leash on a cat, like a small cat, that you would put on a big lion. You won't use the same bullets on this kind of animal that you would use on a bigger animal. These are things that you just wouldn't do. They would already comprehend, and they would already go hand in hand. So it gets no different. It's not much of a difference when you are actually speaking of life and what's actually happening out here, and how most conversations, engagements are going to be superficial, surface level. They aren't going to have a whole lot of substance. Like, I'm at the point to where I don't even really, and I'm not a person who like to ignore people, but I don't really care for responding if I've been engaged with you for longer than, a week or two, and it's still the same questions being asked every day. Good day. Hey, how's it going? How's your day been? What did you do? How was work? Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's the same generic conversation. And what happens is, for me, I allow it to flow for a certain amount of spiritual time. I don't like giving exact times. I don't want to say, I give it 2-3 engagements and then I start doing this. No, it's like, for me, it's on spiritual time. So I cannot put an exact time frame or number with it. But it's something that happens in the spiritual realm when it's like, all right, you've grown kind of closer. Say we was this far apart. And then we start engaging for a couple days. Maybe it grew us a little bit closer like this. Not like this, but just a little bit closer like this. Then it would start having me feel like, all right, well, you guys are moving in. You're not moving further apart. So what can we do to make sure that it's being some like strong ground roots being planted there, whether it's a friendship, or whether you dealing with the opposite sex, or your family members. And when I get to that space, I have to throw some kind of knowledge and information out there to kind of show that I value myself and my time. Even if I don't have all the money in the world, I'm still going to value myself like I do. Because I know in the spiritual realm, I am richer than most beings in the spiritual realm. But it doesn't correlate to this physical realm because we have this weird, witchy entities that's in charge of this realm right now. So, you know, all the real beings, all the real ones, all the solid ones, all the ones with some substance, all the righteous men, all the righteous women, all of us are pushed back last into the back burner. So that's why they say a lot of good girls want bad guys. Well, they aren't good girls if they want bad guys. That just sounds retarded to me. You know, I would never look at this female like she's a good righteous being, but she's going for all the quote unquote, what the term they use, chads. You know, if they're going for those type, that mean they aren't good women. So I don't know why this has even become a thing. Clearly, these beings haven't been willing to learn what natural law means that we actually should be following. You call it natural law or God's laws. You know, natural law just, it flows and it feels better to me, even though I put so much more respect on the creator and source, you know what I mean? But everyone is so sensitive out here, so you got to know how to tread. I ain't going to say tread lightly, I'm just going to say you got to learn how to tread out here. Because sometimes it will be lightly and sometimes you're going to have to apply a little bit of pressure, you know? But just understanding these things, like, I have buddies and beings and male friends that I was around that just didn't want to learn or build anything, you know, and every day, not every day, but every time we would engage, our conversations would be damn near the same, you know? Either their relationships, my ships that I have going on or had going on, because it's to the point now to where I literally did a whole factory reset, you know? Every female that I was dealing with or had dealt with before have all been wiped. So like the past few weeks, I haven't been engaging with any of those females. It's kind of like when I went to prison. I had to do 3 years in prison. It was only CO females in there, you know what I mean? So I just put myself back in that spiritual mind state of, all right, you're not in the physical prison. It's somewhat of a prison out here in today's society, but not as much as like the actual prison system, you know what I mean? And I just had to reformulate and recalibrate everything that's going on and happening, because once you start making waves, you have a lot more to lose. It's a lot more at stake, you know what I mean? And the way the opposition lies and manipulates in a demonic way, because we can manipulate in a healthy way, you know. The way they work these tactics, it just don't even be worth putting yourself in these positions to kind of not do something and still have to walk through the fire because they said you did something, even if you didn't do anything. You know, it doesn't make a difference if you are guilty or not anymore. You will still feel the same fire. It's how it's set up out here right now. So you just got to be extra mindful. Like, what I would start doing is, if you got a bunch of people around you, start putting some different ideas and things down on the table. Like, if you and this buddy get together and y'all like to paint, see if y'all can make a big collage or do something to where y'all can start putting y'all stuff in art shows or galleries or doing things like this. If y'all already doing art galleries and shows, see if y'all can expand bigger than that space that it's in. You know what I mean? If you got like buddies or somewhere or spouses that, you know, y'all like to plant and grow, all right, start your own. If you already got your own home stuff, then see what's up with the farmers markets. You know, start trying to give y'all healthier fruits and vegetables and foods to share with some of these other beings. Yeah, you can put a small price on it. That's fine. That's natural of life. You know what I mean? But it's a step up. If you already going to the farmers markets, then shit, you need to start trying to figure out how to establish your own little market or grocery store. you know, where it's just all your items and products. I don't know why people don't already do these things already that got the bag. Like, it wouldn't hurt for you if you got some big house in a good location and you just bought a shed or built a shed that basically looked similar to a warehouse. Don't have to be the same size. Could be the size of a corner store. And you stock all your stuff in there and you allow people to come and go, you know? And you have your price tags and things of it, but you gotta have some kind of elevation on there. All conversations and engagements gotta have some elevation, or these beings will be pulling you backwards or slowing you down or hindering you or getting ready to chop your legs out from underneath you. And if they don't chop it, you're gonna self-sabotage, because now you done been distracted so long that they don't even have to do anything. They done did their part. They kept your mind and your spirit away from what you was normally supposed to be focused on and doing. And for a lot of them, that's kind of the space in where they are at right now. So if you don't have the discipline, you need to maintain, sustain. You need to go out and get the discipline to be able to do it. You know what I mean? But they're not going to be willing to learn, to listen from us, from you, from me. It's like when people have too much access to you, they don't care about hearing what you got to say. When people have too much access to you, they don't care about what you got to say. Your information is more valuable to people who don't have access to you in this weird society. It's not supposed to be that way, but that's the way this weird ass system has orchestrated and lined up this playboard. It's that simple. To me, it would make sense to be able to take more insight and, you know, information from beings that I have access to, because then I can always access them. It's like being able to go to the corner store every single day. You know, I like being able to go to the store every single day, since I'm not growing these things myself yet right now. But once I can get to the space to where I can grow my own, then I'm gonna love waking up being able to go get my own food from my own yard. But that's not the case, you know. So we just got to be mindful of these things at all times. At all times, we got to be mindful of these things, you know what I mean? But I ain't want to run it up too long. You guys got to put something in place for the ones that you have around, so you can establish if your relationships with beings around you are growing or if they are deteriorating. There is no level playing field out here anymore. You're either going up this way, elevating, or you're going down, deteriorating. You either living or you dying. One of the two. So start establishing these things when you communicate and engaging with people. A lot of people going to tell you a lot of things, but you have to judge them by their actions. You have to judge them by their actions. If they showing that this is what they do, every time y'all not around each other, they coming back to you with some new ideas, some new insight, information, you should already know they trying to elevate. But if every time y'all not around each other and they doing the complete opposite and they coming back with the same information, the same drama llama, panorama bull, then you should already understand that you're going to have to minimize this relationship that you have. And it's only going to be in your best interest, you know. Not that you hate them that much, it's that you should love yourself that much. You know what I mean? But tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.